Hey everyone, it's Comics with Drew, and this is Drew. And I wanted to do a quick video here about Star Wars and basically about Disney's gallery, the Star Wars The Mandalorian. This is a a new show on Disney Plus. If you're not subscribed to Disney Plus, I highly recommend it. Um, but I really recommend it because of these 7 minutes and 6 seconds here, where Dave Filoni basically lays down the entire point of Star Wars. Now, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I've grown up with Star Wars. My parents took me to see the movies when I was a kid, and it's been a big part of my life, and it's something that I truly love. And it has been a tragedy what has happened with Star Wars. And I use the term tragedy in relation to entertainment, obviously. But in the last several years, there's been a direction from Lucasfilm and Disney to that basically seems to misunderstand the point of Star Wars, to put it politely, and it's caused a lot of it's caused a great deal of sadness. I mean, there's a lot of anger and a lot of hatred, but for me, I'm immensely saddened by what's happened. But occasionally there comes along a light in the darkness. And this moment here, where Dave Filoni is talking about the hero's journey in Star Wars, this gives me hope for the future of Star Wars. This gives me hope for the future of The Mandalorian. Now, basically, I'm just going to talk about primarily what he says, and then I'm going to talk about some other uh, surrounding issues and related issues that are going on with Lucasfilm from what I've gathered around the internet. I'm in no way an insider. It's just I like to look into Star Wars stuff. Dave Filoni talks about in the course of the first two episodes his initial hiring at Lucasfilm and his initial meeting with George Lucas. And in this particular scene, he's talking about why Star Wars is important and what the soul of Star Wars is and what it should be and what it really has always been when it's handled correctly. And he starts off talking about the father son dynamic and the family dynamic because Star Wars is really all about helping other people and family and eschewing power to do the right thing. It's about ordinary people overcoming extraordinary obstacles and succeeded and having hope. And Lucas tells Filoni, he mentions during the course of his career working at Lucasfilm, uh, Lucas has always made sure that Filoni understood that Star Wars was about being uplifting for children and giving them hope. And so he starts off talking about episode one, toward the end of the episode one, with the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul fight. He's talking about the importance of Qui-Gon as a character because Qui-Gon is a Jedi Knight who is more advanced and more in tune with human beings and life than the other Jedi are. The other Jedi are more concerned with running around, being peacekeepers. They don't necessarily care about people individually. But Qui-Gon has a compassion to him and a sense of wisdom that is far beyond most of the other Jedi. And he realizes that when he takes Anakin Skywalker away from his mother, that Anakin has lost his mother and that he needs to have a guiding person who can point him in the right direction. And Qui-Gon is going to be that father figure to him. And when that fight happens with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon loses and dies, what that does is that deprives Anakin of the father that he never had. And the Emperor then takes Anakin and then twists him into a tool for evil. And then through the course of six films, we wind up getting Darth Vader, and then we get Luke, and then it finally wraps up toward at the end of Jedi when Luke looks at the Emperor, and he says, "I'm not going to fight you. I'm a Jedi Knight, And he leans over and does that little head nod, like my father before me. And at that point, what Qui-Gon wanted to start in the first place finally is realized. And good has triumphed over evil. That's what Star Wars is about. It's about family, and it's about giving children something to hope for and something to cling to realize that there may be darkness in the world, there may be darkness in their lives, there may be things in their lives that are challenging, but like Star Wars and other great stories are meant to do, Star Wars they find hope in these stories to move forward in their lives and to overcome these obstacles, and that's what Star Wars is really about. Okay, and Dave Filoni here and Jon Favreau and all the other directors that Favreau has brought in, Chow and Bryce Dallas Howard and Famiyiwa and Taika Waititi, they understand what Star Wars is really about. They understand what it means to people. Like, too many people want to take it and turn it into, oh, well, we're going to smash the patriarchy, or we're going to use it for our personal political polemics and our personal political puppetry, and use it to try to advance things that aren't important. Star Wars is not about your identity. Star Wars is not about what you vote for. And Star Wars isn't about what religion you have. Star Wars is about ageless principles and ageless experience for the human race. And that's what people who are running it need to understand. Now, Bounding into Comics had an article the other day where they were talking about Disney's latest earnings report, and there's a website or a forum for Disney insiders called, I think it's WDW Magic or something like that. Anyway, it's an insider Disney message board, and they were talking about, amongst other things, the struggle that's currently going on inside Lucasfilm between the factions of Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau. Kathleen Kennedy, who has taken Star Wars and made a massive disaster out of it by putting people who are hateful in charge of the creative direction of it, and trying to destroy it. And what I mean by that, I pretty much wrap all that up into The Last Jedi. That's what that really is about, And with Abrams trying to relaunch it, and then bringing in Johnson, who did his damnedest to destroy it, and then J.J. Abrams had to come back in and try to do the best that he could. He tried his level best to make it better. It was a disaster. And Jon Favreau comes in and runs The Mandalorian with Dave Filoni and these other individuals that understand Star Wars, and they return it to what it's really about. Okay? And that's what's important. And it's critical that for the future of Lucasfilm and for the future of one of the greatest stories of all time, that the Favreau faction wins this. And I don't mean this because I like Jon Favreau or I dislike Kathleen Kennedy on a personal level. What I mean is that Star Wars is important culturally, and it needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be preserved in its principles so that it can continue helping people grapple with difficulties in their lives. Okay? Star Wars isn't a replacement for religion. Star Wars isn't a replacement for family. What Star Wars does, and the main points of Star Wars, is that it's about trying to accentuate what those things do for people. And as a result, in my opinion, these 7 minutes here, from 21 minutes and 38 seconds to 7 for the next 7 minutes and 6 seconds to the end of this episode, Dave Filoni lays out the law and lays out one of the most powerful statements about Star Wars and the most powerful deep cuts and understandings of what Star Wars is supposed to be. I highly recommend that you drop whatever you're doing to watch this 7 minutes of this episode. It's that important. If you understand Star Wars, if you're a fan of Star Wars, and what I mean by a fan of Star Wars, you hate what they did to Luke, you understand why motivations matter to characters, and you understand why things happen in the original trilogy and the sequel and the prequel trilogy, if you understand these things, you're going to want to watch this. This is the best piece of Star Wars media in the last 20 years. It's that important. Thanks again for watching my humble channel. My name is Drew. If you enjoyed what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you didn't, well, it was free, so I appreciate your time anyway. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.